Hey guys, it's Cauliflower, and today I am doing a challenge video. As you probably could tell by the title of this video, it's something completely different, and that is why I decided I wanted to do this. And I was also very inspired by this because I've never seen anything like it, and lately because of, just how I feel about YouTube in general, it was just something I thought came at the right time. So I was watching, already I'm starting. I was watching Elko, Ellie's channel, and she did a video called the Strip Down Challenge. And then I actually watched like the creator of the tag, his video. I think his name is Jonah Green. I will link all their videos below. And this challenge is the stripped down challenge, which means that you basically talk for 10 minutes straight about anything you choose with no editing, no music, no filters, no nothing. I mean, aside from what's on my face, I'm sure that some people are going to complain that I have makeup on, but you know what? I just feel better with it. So to be honest, I feel better with makeup on my face when I'm filming. So the ultimate challenge is that you have to talk for 10 minutes, which you guys know I can do that no problem. But I chose to take that 10 minutes and really kind of open up to you guys as I've never done before, because I don't feel that I do that anymore now in my videos. I feel my videos are pretty much very to the point or very lighthearted, or they're about, reviews or what have you. And I don't really talk much about myself anymore, not since my father's passing. So right now, because I use my phone as my camera, so I can't use the whole timer system where I'm showing you the exact 10 minutes, but my camera's timer in front of me has about 23 minutes left on it, so I can gauge from that how much time I've discussed or I've talked in the 10-minute frame. So that will keep my time for me. So I'm going to start about now, and hopefully I don't get interrupted because my daughter comes home from school very soon. But even if I do, then I'm just going to have to talk through it, right? No matter what it is, just going to have to talk through it. So today I decided to do this video because, first of all, I did watch the whole premise of this video was because it was sort of like an answer to this model or Instagram famous girl, Asana. She made a video how she was quitting social media and how she felt that social media was basically taking over her life, and that it wasn't as fulfilling as her life should be, as opposed to always doing something that has to do with social media, which honestly, I'm going to go and say that I completely do understand where she's coming from. A lot of people are disturbed by it because they're like, she has this amazing life. She's this model. She has all this money, all this power, all this glory, all this fame. Why now complain about social media? And what better a person to make a statement like that than somebody who is famous on social media? What better a person to advocate for less social media than somebody who's consistently using it as their employment? Now, I may not agree with everything that she stipulated or stated. She went through the whole thing about how she had a modeling career and she did 4-hour photo shoots for Instagram, and how that was important to her and her body image was important to her, and these photos were important to her, and how many likes and comments she got were important to her. And it just made up all that she could think of. It was like she couldn't deal with real life, so the thing about it was that she was surrounded by nothing but this generic support, which it's a twofold when you say generic support, because I know there are people, obviously we're real people behind social media. That's the cat. But it's not real as far as you're sitting across from a person and you can talk to them and see them and touch them and know that they're real. There's so many different ways that people will present themselves on social media in general. They could be completely different than what they really are. It could be a 15-year-old teenager. It could be a 55-year-old, plumber. You never know who's on this on social media or following you or answering your comments or anything like that. So it's a very blind ambition to put out there so much about yourself and not know what you're going to get in return. And as far as why I decided to do this in general, for me, bottom line, I started my channel a few years ago because I was watching YouTube videos. I was watching, a bunch of different reviews on things, and being the couponer and shopper that I am, I decided, oh, I can do that too. And maybe it'll open up other things for me. Maybe I will get, to meet other people that do this. I wanted more information about the coupon and freebie world, and that's why I jumped headfirst into it and started to do these types of videos. And as the years went on, and I was not only doing freebie videos and review videos and makeup videos and beauty videos and haul videos, but then I started to decide that I want to talk more about my life, which is something I don't normally do in any realm. I don't talk about my life a lot. And there's reasons behind that, because I never really felt comfortable or trusting of giving a lot of information. And it's kind of strange coming from me, because when I was a lot younger, especially growing up, there was so much reality that I was dealing with. I mean, I was a young child living in the Bronx with my mom and my grandmother, and my mom had a really bad alcohol problem, and we didn't have much as far as income, and we didn't have much as far as what everybody what everybody assumes that everybody has growing up. I didn't have that. And the main thing was, of course, my father. I didn't have him. They were divorced. They divorced when I was very young. It was a very volatile relationship, a very volatile situation. He left for his reasons. I'm not even going to get into that anymore. And my mother, of course, had custody of me, and that raised a lot of issues, because my mother was probably not ready for motherhood, and she had all sorts of different issues and problems, and I grew up with all those problems with her. And having to see somebody that is raising you that basically has no real regard for life or what they're doing or how they're, or worrying about you because they're destroying themselves or in the midst of addiction and they don't understand what it's doing to you, you grow up with certain things. And I know very young, I always had this thing about taking care. My mom was always sick or not well or, hungover, what have you. And I always, was like her caretaker. And then my grandmother also, who had Parkinson's disease, it was very kind of like at the early stages at the time. So I would be like her helper, like the one that would go shopping, grocery shopping with her, and, go out in public with her, because my mother at the time refused to do anything in public. She didn't want to have anything to do with the public life. She became agoraphobic, which means that she didn't want to deal with society. She had a lot of panic. There was always issues surrounding that, so we didn't do a lot of things out in the open. We didn't go shopping like mother and daughters do. We didn't she didn't come to a lot of my functions at school, or even my parent-teacher conferences, things like that were very limited. She was very limited in what she would allow herself to do. So my grandmother became that person. She was the person that took over and kind of took me to school and bought me clothes and took me to lunch, and we went shopping and errands and things like that. So it was mainly that I grew up more or less with her than my mother. My mother, I became more of the caretaker. My grandmother, I was more of just like what I would be if I was with my mom. And then later on in life, through school, I became very depressed, severely depressed. I hit a lot of walls. I had a lot of, things that I didn't understand, things that were affecting me. And I didn't know how to relate to people. Like, I wanted badly to have friends and, of course, boyfriends. And I always ended up with people that had more problems than I did. So it would be like I would take care of them, and in turn, they would destroy me because they weren't capable of giving me what I needed. And I was more or less just kind of like coaxing them through, whatever it was. I mean, every boyfriend I probably ever had, up until, yeah, every boyfriend I ever had up until my 30s, had major issues. Either it was depression or addiction or alcoholism or just struggles in general, or they used me for whatever, because they knew I was a very loving and caring person, and they wanted a piece of that. They wanted somebody that would love them unconditionally, which is what I would always try to do. They wanted a beating board, somebody they can browbeat, insult, hurt, cast aside when I wasn't good enough for them or I didn't meet up to their standards. So my self-esteem was very, very low for many, many years. And not having the correct amount of support, not having the correct amount of motivation to be whatever I wanted to be. There was always a feeling of competition. There was always a feeling of hurting somebody else's feelings. If I did something, I wanted to do something for myself right away. It was like, taking away from my mother, or taking away from just, the house in general. Or it's a very hard situation to describe, but it was always about not me. It was never about me. And after that, I sort of just became nothing but internal, and always just very emotional, and always very at a crisis. I don't know what words to say, because it's hard to say when you can't think of the words, and usually I'll stop at this point, be like, oh, what am I saying? What am I trying to say? But there was always inner chaos, and I didn't know what that was. I knew from a very young age that I had issues and problems, but I did not know the extent of it. And that's my daughter. I'm just going to open the door for my daughter. I'm actually just going to, okay, I almost feel like I broke protocol because I paused the video, but my daughter came home. I had to let her in. So yeah. So anyway, as I was saying, as she takes the cat in the room, so growing up, things were, just very, very difficult. And then once I got into my 20s, it was all about, just trying to establish me as a person and an identity. And I was always doing that through other people, because I thought it was, if I would see something in a person, if I thought that they had a talent, or they had some sort of, what do I want to say? See, this is when I get stuck on words, and I'm like, I gotta pause, and I want to pause so bad, but I can't, because I paused already, and I broke protocol, but I'm trying, guys, I'm trying. If they would have, like, traits that I liked, if they were musical, if they could play an instrument or sing, or they had, like, beauty or whatever it was, I was always wanting to be like them, and it was just so wrong of me, because I just never felt good in my own skin. I never felt good in my own brain. My brain was always telling me the most negative of things, and I never felt good about myself. And I never, anything I ever tried in life, anything I ever wanted to try, there was always an obstacle. There was always something there. There was always, my depression knocked so much out of me that I couldn't do the things I wanted to do. I mean, growing up, I wanted to be a veterinarian, when I was a kid. I loved animals. And then I developed, when I was very, very young, this love for writing. And I would write short stories, I would write plays, I would write poems, I'd write, and I was always told I was such a good writer. And, I would keep doing it, but then as I hit the age of 11, I started to write in a, like a diary or a journal, and I would always write about my thoughts or about things. And when I was 11 was the first time I ever tried to take my own life, so to speak. I mean, I took an overdose of aspirin, and it was just, ever since I could remember, I always documented the things that were going on as far as my depression, or the, the suicidal thoughts, or the, just the sadness about losing a friend or a boyfriend. I mean, I had so much drama with relationships, because it was always a drama. I mean, it used to be comical after a while because my mother used to joke with me that I never picked anybody that was normal, so to speak. There was always, we have stories going back as far as like when I was in high school. But, how I survived all of that seems to be my greatest accomplishment in life. I look at myself now and I just turned 45 and I say, what did you really accomplish? Because you still don't even know what you want to be. And I think there is a term out there for those that are biologically older, but they don't mature or they don't grow as that age. And I think that's what I have, that I suffer from. I don't feel this age. I don't embrace this age. I think it's why people either do one of two things when they meet me. Either they gravitate towards me or they find me so completely immature or non-relatable, or somebody that they don't think can hold an intelligent conversation or have, different thoughts on different things. And the issue with that is that I've felt that I was more grown up as a child, that I faced so many different obstacles as a child than any adult should or could from the age of 5 on. I mean, just things that, a child should never have to face or worry about or think about or know. That was my life. And I felt like I had to be the adult from the age of 5 on to probably 18, 19 years old. By the time I was 20, we had, left my my home that I grew up in. But I always felt that, after I left the Bronx and after I left home and everything else, that I could now further who I was and find who I was. And even to this day, which is very difficult to say in a video to a bunch of people watching me in the world, even to this day, I don't know what I want with my life. I don't know what I'm good at. I don't know who to be sometimes. It's like, I know right now that I'm Dawn. I know I'm a mom. I know that I'm a friend. I know that I'm so many different things that are not very solid. Obviously I'm not married. Obviously I don't have a college degree in something, even though I tried, to go to school. I don't have a major career. I mean, my major career is just probably being me. I do a bunch of different things that really don't matter, I think. I've had many jobs. I currently could work right now, and I don't because I'm doing this, but I'm kind of leaning towards going back to that because this obviously is great, but it's really not, it really isn't something that is very successful, I guess I want to say. I don't want to use that word because it sounds terrible to say, well, the only reason you do YouTube is to make money, or it's not even like that. But the fact that people do make money, the fact that people do get sponsors. I mean, I get sponsored every now and again. I don't get them like my friend Liz does or like Nikki Murphy does, or I don't get all that. I get them in drips and drabs. And maybe because I'm not constantly, putting myself out there, throwing myself out there saying I do this, that, and the other thing. So I'm always looking for the next thing to do because I'm never satisfied with just what's going on now. And it's hard to describe or explain to people. Most people call it laziness, or most people call it, just being, what have you. But I'm legitimately this way. I legitimately feel like I don't know my place. And it's hard to admit that because, so many people see me in so many different lights. I mean, not always positive. Some people see me in negative lights, that they think I have it easy. They think that I just coast through life and I don't care about, situations or people or things like that. And it's not like that. It's just that life and experiences have brung me to where I am today. There's no reason other than experience that brings me to who I became today. And that's in a negative and in a positive aspect. I mean, I wouldn't feel as negatively as I do towards my family if it didn't come to that. I wouldn't feel as loving as I do towards people that I have been friends with for 10 years if it didn't come to that. If I didn't go through so many hardships with people and in the end made such a great relationship with them. I wouldn't have the daughter I have. I wouldn't struggle to, think I was not worth being a mother and then becoming a mother and having one of the best gifts I could have ever been given in life if that wasn't an experience. And I wouldn't be able to do this if I didn't come to a point where I was happy enough with myself to say, okay, I can talk to people and I can let them in. And, it's hard for me to let people in. It's hard for me to let go sometimes of things that have happened to me. I tend to, whenever anything bad happens to me, the first thing I do is I just stop and I become almost like a recluse. Like you don't see me, you don't hear from me, and that's pretty much it. And I think that's why I decided to do this video, because I wanted you guys to see that I am stripped down. This is me stripped down. And most of the time I am stripped down. Any story I tell on YouTube, anything like that, I am stripped down. I am not doing it because it's, just something to talk about or throw out there. I'm doing it because that's part of my life. And it impacted me and it experienced me, and now I'm giving it back and letting you guys know. And maybe it'll impact you or make you feel better about certain things, when I talk about depression or panic attacks, or the way I feel about life in general, the way I feel about people on YouTube or my best friend, or, things in the world, whatever it is, if I can share that with you and you guys can get it, you guys can understand me, then my job is complete. And I think that's mainly what I've been trying to do in these last 45 years, is just to be understood. And I know I went over the 10 minutes, so I hope that you guys enjoyed this. I had a feeling that I would do this and, the waterworks would start, but I'm glad I did. And I hope anybody that watches this, anybody, any of my subscribers, any of my viewers, any of you who've come across this by accident, I hope you guys will do this kind of a video. I think it's really important to put it out there on social media. And I'm glad I did it, and I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.